and then we see the interview with him at the launch of these initiatives, and there's just so many of them. So once again, thank you very much for your service, Minister Sinanan. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I ask that you stand for our feature address. The Honorable Stuart Young MP and the Acting Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Please, let's get a round of applause for the Honorable Stuart Young.
Thank you. Have a seat, everyone. Just making sure it's morning. Good morning. And to my cabinet colleagues, Senator the Honorable Rohan Sinanan, Minister of Works and Transport, the Honorable Penelope Beckles Robinson, Minister of Planning and Development, Senator the Honorable Richie Sukai, Minister in the Ministry of Works and Transport, Ambassador Peter Cavendish, or the Ambassador from the European Union to Trinidad and Tobago, all other members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Chairman of the Airports Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, the General Manager of Airports Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, Permanent Secretaries, Deputy Permanent Secretaries. Ladies and gentlemen and members of the media, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and I'm going to start by sharing a quick joke with you. My colleague, Minister Sinanan, in his typical way, was showing off when he was showing me the stage and all of the technology and the green behind and the fancy clipboard in front, etc., as all of my colleagues tend to do with me. And I never told them, well, the reason you're able to have those props is because of the work being done by the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries and not the Ministry of Finance that they think the money comes from. Ladies and gentlemen, the significance of today should not be underestimated. Today is a good day. We sat in this very room not too long ago, 2 years ago. It was one of the first outings as we started to roll out of COVID by Ambassador Cavendish here in Trinidad and Tobago. I see some of the new faces of the Diplomatic Corps now with us since that period of time. And we said that with the European Union, we were going to launch a solar park at one of the premier airports in the whole CARICOM region, Piarco Airport. I took careful note. I spoke at that one as well. We went down, we turned the sod. And to be here today, only a couple years later, to commission the project is a good day. And the significance of these types of projects is not only domestic significance, as all of the speakers prior to me have indicated, we are dealing with a global phenomenon that is climate change. All of the speakers before touched on it because it affects every single life, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, not only in the CARICOM region, not only in the European Union, but throughout the whole globe, including animal life and not just human life. And the significance of that is something that we're literally feeling now on a daily basis. You've heard from Minister Beckles Robinson the type of temperatures we face just in the last couple months. And that is real all over the world. You just need to look at the news and see the reality of what people are facing globally. You heard about the flooding yesterday in Port of Spain, rising sea levels, coastal erosion. That's just what is affecting us. A few weeks ago, every speaker talked about Hurricane Beryl, one of the earliest Category 5 hurricanes. Fortunately, knock on wood, not another one following shortly thereafter. But this is real. You need only look at the television and the international news over the last few years. We saw it. Unprecedented flooding in the New Jersey subway, in Chinese subways, in Japanese, Korea. Right now, you saw in North Korea, flooding that has affected thousands and thousands of people. In Europe, over the summer period, they had to close tourist attractions in countries in Europe because of the midday heat. One of the most famous tourist attractions in Greece, they were closing it during the day because of the heat, and people literally died, tourists walking as a result of the heat. So the significance of this project must not be underestimated, and nor should it be overlooked. But what I am coming here today to tell you is this is the first of many. Because as usual, Trinidad and Tobago is giving not only its commitment, but its but you will see through our implementation and delivery that we will do our part. Because we're in a funny place in the global makeup. Our economy is based on hydrocarbons. We earn a living. Everything around us, the cost of electricity, the subsidized water, children being able to go to school for free, the hospital service. There are not many countries in the world that offer free education, free health care. We can offer that because of an economy that's earning money on a global scale based on fossil fuels, oil and gas. That seems to be in direct conflict with what we've all spoken about, which is global climate change. But once again, you've seen a government, and I'm proud of the government. I'm proud to have been a part of the government, and more fortunately for me, to be privileged to be given a leading role in ensuring that Trinidad and Tobago has once again been a global leader, not only in the conversation with respect to global climate change and engaging our friends in the European Union, in North America and other areas across the globe as to the roles that everyone needs to be playing in the reduction of harmful emissions, both in carbon dioxide as well as methane, but also as a global leader in energy. And as I was telling a group of young people yesterday as I engaged them, Trinidad and Tobago a few years ago stood at the forefront when many did not want to have the conversations in the global energy space and told people that we are not going to be able to just eradicate the use of fossil fuels overnight, but we must use natural gas in a responsible manner and combine it with renewables. That was at a time when the globe was very anti-fossil fuels. And everyone was saying you had to stop oil production, you had to stop oil exploration and production, stop using natural gas, when we all know one of the worst emitters is coal. And we could shut off everything, as those who have heard me speak before, everything in Trinidad and Tobago and the CARICOM region, and it is less than 2% of global emissions. Let that sit in. But that doesn't stop us. Our economy is based on oil and gas, and we are committed to developing it and to earning the revenue streams to be able to provide decent standards of living for our citizens. But the difference with Trinidad and Tobago is we are going to do it in a responsible manner, and that's one of the things you're seeing here today. So congratulations to the Airport Authority for leading the way. Because one of the worst emitters of the harmful emissions is the aviation industry. In fact, we smile at it all the time. When you look at the COP, global conferences on climate change, just take a look at the airports and see how many planes and private planes and stuff are flown in, and those are some of the worst emitters in the world. So it's important that an airport like Piarco does a project like this, because what it is doing is offsetting. And to sit here and hear the plans, starting with the chairman, then the Minister of Works and Transport, ably supported by the Minister of Public Utilities, say this is the start, there's going to be more. That's a good thing. Leadership. That's what it is. So once again, Trinidad is at the forefront of leadership in the airports in the region in doing its part to offset against the harmful emissions. And I applaud you for that this morning. Partnerships. This is only one project that we're doing with the European Union. Ambassador touched on a few of them. The Ministry of Planning has been ably assisting the government in identifying projects. I won't spend time here this morning talking about all of the energy sector projects that are unprecedented, meaning never happened in the world, the restructuring of Atlantic LNG. That has never happened anywhere in the world before. The recent projects that we've succeeded with right there next door in Venezuela, Dragon, Coquina, developing Manatee. I just marked the spot to say we will continue to do these projects for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. More importantly, with the European Union, it started a conversation, and we're working right now. I can tell you all that in March of this year, I went very quietly to Brussels, engaged with the leaders who make the decisions at the European Union Commission to identify particular projects that have the potential to reduce huge amounts of methane, because methane is one of the worst emissions that there is for the atmosphere. And we have gotten the full blessing of the European Union Commission. I've engaged with them at the highest levels, and we have committed to work together to bring that to fruition. And once again, Trinidad would be a leader, because what we would have found in that project is an ability to combine reduction of methane from the atmosphere, almost 1.9 BCF of gas a day, and to convert that gas into either LNG or necessary fertilizer projects like ammonia, and then to transport some of that to Europe, where they're looking to diversify their gas portfolio on the basis of what has happened in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. These are important factors that very often go unlooked and unknown, but it shows the leadership strength once again of Trinidad and Tobago. A small Trinidad and Tobago having the ability to punch way above our weight and in higher belt categories to engage the European Union and get their blessing and commitment to work with us, with two of their largest oil and gas producers, in a project that ticks the boxes, because the European Union has stopped investing in exploration in oil and gas. But the benefit of this project is the reduction of methane and the cleaning up of the environment and converting that harmful methane that right now is flaring into potential useful products, where Europe is looking to diversify its utilization and its supply of these products. So mark the words here today, and remember this when hopefully it comes to fruition in time to come, because once again Trinidad and Tobago would have led along with the European Union in this important global project. We haven't stopped there. To touch very briefly, because Minister Sinanan, as usual, set me up and said, the Minister of Energy will talk about what we're doing to clean up the environment. Very good at that. You're seeing one of the first projects here. You would also know, hopefully by now, Trinidad and Tobago is currently constructing in Brechin Castle in the central of Trinidad, the largest solar utility scale power generating solar project in the CARICOM region. It's about 90.2 megawatts of electricity that would feed into our grid, Project Lara, fitting name. We have also, 3 weeks ago as a cabinet, I got their permission to go out for RFPs, requests for proposals, on all of the illegally quarried land that we've identified in the northeastern peninsula of Trinidad. That has 3 immediate benefits. One, of course, unquarried land should really be rectified and restored. This is the way we're going to restore it here in Trinidad. We're going to put solar panels over it, feed that energy into the grid. So the second one is we're getting towards our commitment of 30% reduction of emissions out of power generation. And the third, quite selfishly, is the more renewables we can build onto our national grid and bring in means we have more molecules of gas to sell and then earn the revenue to continue paying for the free education, the hospitals, and Minister Sinanan's fancy board in front here, he's reminding me. The next project that the cabinet has agreed with me, and Ambassador Cavendish referred to it, is we're going wind. So we've completed the initial study, and we see that there's great potential with the generation of electricity via wind turbines. Trinidad and Tobago is going to lead in that area, and we're currently doing these studies to see where to put these turbines down. We don't stop there, and the leadership of this government is we look to see, okay, so we're going to use some of that on the grid, but it is going to provide the future, because as the world transitions out of fossil fuels, we are looking towards green hydrogen, and we have all of the infrastructure built right here in Point Lisas for green hydrogen. We're going to use that wind-generated electricity to power the electrolyzers that literally take water, split out the H2, get rid of the oxygen, take that hydrogen, which is the H2, and then we put it into ammonia, which right now is one of the safest modes of transporting hydrogen, and it sells right into the European market at a premium. That is a government that has policy. That is a government that is constantly looking to develop Trinidad and Tobago, and I dare say ensure that we are on the forefront of what is happening globally. And before we get to the wind, we have already approved in cabinet, and it is currently underway, the building of a pilot project for green hydrogen. We're going to prove the concept because globally right now, it still isn't at commercial levels. But we have cabinet has approved and we're proceeding with using some of the electricity from the Project Lara because it's renewable electricity. We're building an electrolyzer through national energy and we're going to take the green hydrogen produced and sell it to one of our ammonia producers to prove the concept. So people in Trinidad and Tobago, those are some of the renewable projects. You've heard Minister Beckles-Robinson as well as Ambassador talk about some of these 12 to 17 other projects, small rooftop projects that are taking place. Every little bit counts. I've heard it suggested, well, what about allowing, like other countries, rooftop solar and you feed it into the grid? I smile, because it is not as simple as some make that seem. What that needs is a whole revamping of your grid. You need to feed everybody's solar off of their roof into separate lines that then go to substations that will then sort of balance it off and then put it out onto the grid. So when you hear people talk of these things and say this should be done immediately, it's not as simple as that. But it is something we're looking at. The Ministry of Public Utilities is looking at the policy. But the point is, Trinidad and Tobago is once again at the forefront. We will be leaders. We don't only look to be leaders in our small CARICOM region, but we look to be global leaders and have our voice heard, and we are going to do our part. And it is not lip service. Trinidad and Tobago has already begun with this project and some of the others that I've listed to be world leaders in fulfilling our NDC commitments towards the reduction of emissions and our battle against global climate change. So stand by, be ready. I'm not going to keep us much longer because we now have to go outside there and face the same hot weather at the hottest period of time during the day, I'm sure, between 12 and 2. Hopefully it won't be that bad. But I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules for being here this morning to see the conclusion of a very successful project and the commitment of our partners, one of our biggest partners. And I have to just put some clarification on what Ambassador Cavendish was saying with the balance of payments and how it's in a surplus for Trinidad and Tobago, in particular to the EU. It's all based on our energy projects that I've just talked about, on our energy commodities, LNG and ammonia and these products that are sold into the European market. And since the Russia-Ukraine war, we have actually seen an increase in our supplies of LNG and products to the European Union and all of the member countries that are part of the European Union. So people, Trinidad and Tobago, we are there, we continue to lead. You have a government that is committed to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and we're committed to continue delivering projects like this, and we can, as they say, walk and chew gum at the same time. Because whilst we're doing this, we're also pushing our hydrocarbon economy in a very responsible manner. Airport Authority, well done for getting it done. Ministry of Works and Transport, you've delivered a successful project once again. Ministry of Planning and Development, for those who don't know, they're the quiet ones working in the background to pull all of the strings and make sure these types of projects get the funding and the priority that they need with our international donors. So thank you and well done. Ambassador Cavendish, tell the people in Europe we continue to be ready to work with them, and there's a lot more that we can do because we want to increase our balance of surplus. All right? Thank you everyone for being here this morning, and thank you for your attention.
The Honorable Stuart Young, Acting Prime